Today I'm taking a look at Cakebox. Cakebox is a UK company on the AIM market and alternative investment market. So it's very much a small cap company. I got a little tip off on this one the other day, as it's certainly worth a look. So I thought I'd have a little nose around, and it's very much my sort of business to have a look at. Having come from the catering equipment industry and 20 years of selling heavy machinery, it's a sort of business I do understand really well, and I think as an investing criteria, that's quite an important thing. So the Cakebox started as a small business in a retail shop in the East End of London with a couple of Asian guys, very much in the Sikh community, who apparently can't eat eggs or not allowed to. They're vegetarian, and they developed an eggless cake. Well, to me, cake is cake, and if it tastes really great, then they have not a problem with that. The business has expanded quite dramatically from the first store, and they have now a large production facility in Enfield on the top of London, and a new site's opening up in Bradford as a production and distribution centre, and another one up in Leicester. So there's been a lot going on. They've been on the alternative stock market for a couple of years now, and have been trading for about 10 or 12 years. They started from small beginnings, but the shop side is expanding quite rapidly through franchising. And as of this year, there are around about 150 franchise units out there, with some of them as multiple franchisee units, i.e. the same franchisee, but they're holding several shops, which are showing a payback time of about 18 months on every store. So you can understand why this is quite interesting to any other investors looking for their own little business as well. So let's have a look. I'm on the investors page, investors.eggfreecake.co.uk, if you want to have a look at that one. And let's have a look at the board. And I thought this was quite interesting, because you tend to really want to start with the management of the business. Suki is the chief executive officer. What really appealed with this is he's been a consultant in the food equipment company business for a long time, especially in high volume food production, and previously owned a food catering company supplying vegetarian food for functions and events. So he's been a long time in the industry, and been with a director of the company since March 2009. I think they started the small business in the shop in 2008, and then started the franchising side in 2009. Sidekick Pardip as the CFO. Again, been in the industry quite some time as an accountant, working for Starbucks. Also, Masala's own group, Chez Girard, which I remember from my catering equipment days. It's quite a big group of restaurants and pubs, real deal pubs as well. So he's had a lot of experience. So these guys, they know what they're doing, which is, when you're looking at investing in a business, is very, very important. Okay, they're really the key two players in the company. So, in terms of the stores, they've been opening quite a few. There seems to be a big band from sort of the middle of London. We've got some in a little bit in South London, but right across, a big band up through the Midlands and up into Bradford. Probably laying with Leicester and Bradford, we're talking about a lot of the Asian community picking up on this as quite an interesting thing. But there's plenty of the rest of us who, well, I don't personally eat eggs. I don't like them, but I will certainly enjoy a bit of cake. I live down near Taunton in Somerset, and I think my nearest store has recently opened is in Yeovil, so I will be going along and having a try very, very shortly. I think there's another one in Bristol, just north of Bristol. So again, not too far away, but there's, apart from that, very little in the southwest of the UK. There's one or two stores have opened up in South Wales. There's very little in Scotland at the moment, so there's plenty of growth opportunity here. I get the impression, looking at Cakebox, it's very much a mini Greggs. If you're in the UK, Greggs is the big sausage roll retailer, with now at about 2,500 stores and massive production factory up in the northeast. I think this is a mini Greggs. I can see massive growth and opportunity in this. They've also grown very heavily since they launched into the AIM market a couple of years ago, and I think there's so much more potential to come with this. So let's pull into got it, Excel spreadsheet. So done my little sums on Cakebox. So crunching the numbers, let's scroll up on that one there, so we get the into my DCF calculator, which won't work very well on this because I really haven't got enough years of figures. I'm going back 3.5-ish. But for the calculators to start to work, it needs to be about 4 or 5 ideally, so we get a better flow. So in terms of the revenue growth year on year, 47%, 31%, down to 10% in the Roni year. So considering a few of the stores, or quite a lot of the stores, were closed for a period of time, that's not to be unexpected. There are results, I think, due out, an annual presentation due out shortly. So we'll see a lot more information coming through in terms of the number of new franchisees, etc. Certainly quite a nice, profitable business. Plenty going on there. Good free cash flow. Very low debt on the business. It all, from the figures point of view, it all looks really, really quite good. Obviously, you need to do your own sums. I'm not a financial advisor. So my little turnover graphs, I'm not very good at putting these things together, but there we go. So turnover growth, absolutely massive year on year. Profitability, we've seen a bit of a level of 2019, 2020 being very similar figures, but considering 2020 was Rona year, that's an awesome performance. Sort of numbers I like to see. And then moving across, I mean, Phil Town's 10 cap method puts it at a 3%, which is below the 10. But I don't know if we've got enough sums really to make the whole things of these sums work correctly. So to get us some sort of a buying indication price, let's flick back over and have a look at. There we go. Let's go over to Simply Wall Street and see what Simply Wall Street have got to say. So what we love about Simply Wall Street, apart from some of the figures are not erroneous, but they're right, that their valuation matrix always makes me smile a bit. I'm not really sure how they work their figures out of this. So, but they're showing it undervalued by 22.9%. A fair value at £4.19 a share, currently 3.23. I think about 3.25 this morning as I'm making the video. But in terms of the growth on the figures, it's been quite a nice kind of line going up there. Ideally, I don't know where 325 is a little bit overpriced at the moment, because I think this is somewhere between a growth stock and a value stock. I think it's very much in the growth phase at the moment. I think in time it'll develop into a value play, a bit like Tattooed Chef or Greg's. So where Tattooed Chef is now, and where Greg certainly is now as the value store going on in the longer term. So there's a nice big profit margin in this as well, because I think the return on capital invested is pretty hefty. There's a good margin, particularly in sponges. So we've got a return on equity at 31%. Fantastic. Return on capital employed over 30%, 32% last year. So absolutely outstanding figures. So that's why I think it's certainly one to watch. So having a quick look across YouTube, if you type in cake box review, apart from a few people in the first video eating an awful lot of cake and tasting, they're very big slabs of cake, these apparently. So if you do get to try a store locally in the UK, do give it a go. Second one there, I think, is some truck driver who regularly just fills his face with cake. Oh well. But there's some nice review videos here. So the investor presentation on YouTube there at 6 months ago and 12 months ago. I think they encourage an awful lot of cake testing of these things if you sit and watch them. So for your due diligence, sit down, have a look for yourself. It's certainly on my watch list. I think I will be opening a position in this one very shortly, and I think it's definitely one to watch. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more of the videos on a regular basis. You can also, if you're in the UK, get a free share from Free Trade for signing up for an account. Just deposit £1 and away you go. There'll be no fees on buying and selling your investments. And if you want to get started in the stock market, and we'll catch up with you again soon.